Everyone now is giving Nikola Jokic all the credit in the world. Now he went from nobody knew him, silent superstar, to basketball genius, best player in the league. Don't know how we played the sport without him, all of that. But there is something about this title, and if it is a gentleman's sweep, either it looked kind of easy, especially game 4 when Jokic got in foul trouble down in Miami, and the Nuggets just cruised in the non-Jokic minutes. And that's really when it started to hit home that the Heat were not just in massive trouble, but that they're not going to win this series. Because when Jokic goes to the bench and the rest of the team, led by Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray, carry on as if nothing has changed, well, that's got to be incredibly demoralizing and deflating for even the most mentally tough team in the Miami Heat.
Yeah, when Jeff Green hit that 3, and then it was like, oh, no, everybody's going to beat them. I would even argue Denver, I think if you took off Jokic, might be just as good as Miami. I mean, and the reason I say that is because they're still way taller than Miami, who's incredibly short. And Miami's just, they're not that great a team. They're an 8 seed. And in this series, they're playing more like an 8 seed than they did in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Yep, in the Eastern Conference finals. Yeah, in the whole playoffs. Yeah. Yes, but, listen, they're such a 3-point heavy team that if guys like Strus and Vincent and Caleb Martin and these guys were hitting from just an unbelievable clip going through the first few rounds, and basically either their luck has run out, credit Denver's defense has tightened up, whatever you want to say, they are just not having that same type of success. And this is now a matter of when, not if, and it's going to be over. Now, Michael Malone, pardon me. The coach is specific about his first name. I know. I don't want to get on his bad side. Michael Malone was talking about the mentality that they need to have with a 3-1 lead. And let's be honest, the mentality has been an issue for the Nuggets earlier in the series.
My biggest concern going into any closeout game is human nature and fighting against that. You're up 3-1. Most teams, when you're up 3-1, they come up for air, they relax, and they just kind of take it for granted that, we're going to win this. Our approach has to be that we're down 3-1. They're desperate, we have to be more desperate. They're hungry, we have to be hungrier.
I mean, easy to say, and I know the coach wants to say it, but in the beginning of the clip, he mentioned it's human nature.
Yeah.
Will the Nuggets, who really the only hiccup they had was game 2, obviously, where it seemed like they left their foot off the gas. Is there any danger that happens tonight?
Yes, there is, because Miami has played well in this situation. First of all, they're on the road, which is really weird, but they've been better recently. Miami let their foot off the gas against Boston. So we saw, and then in game 7, they came out like a house on fire in the previous series. There is this idea that a desperate Miami is the best Miami. Yeah. And I think there's something to that. I actually expected that in the last game. I thought, wasn't that shaping up to you to be the Miami back against the wall game? And then they just did not deliver. They looked really small. So that has me worried. There's another back against the wall game. Again, I would say they have no chance because they're by far a less talented team. But they have defied odds before, though, Maggie. So if I'm betting tonight, by the way, it was a 9-point spread.
Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable with the Nuggets money line, but I'd be surprised if Miami doesn't make a run and at least be competitive tonight.
Feels like in this series where you think the danger of maybe a letdown from Denver, they've never been in this situation before, but this is the biggest spread that we've had in the series. So bettors are at least expecting, maybe they're trying to sucker you in, hey, come lay that 9, or is that seems way too big, because Miami will be so desperate in this situation. But I think it's telling you kind of what you need to know, which is that Denver's going to win this series, and there's going to be an autopsy on this series, and the postmortem, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it's going to be. The postmortem of this series is going to be, was this the easiest path for anyone to win a championship? And is the Denver Nuggets, is this really a solidified, we've arrived moment for the Nuggets?
Okay. People hate when we talk about this, that, watering down.
I'm one of those people, by the way.
Watering down Denver's accomplishment.
You're watering them down.
I always water them down. But here's the reality of the situation. When you look at the finals throughout history, Maggie, some were more challenging than others. I mean, listen, we all know, for example, beating the Dwight Howard Orlando Magic is not the same as Larry Bird knocking off Magic Johnson. You are defined, I think, by the team you beat and your competition. So I think Denver will get tested at some point. It's not going to be this year. So I think to say that Denver is this sort of, we use the word maybe burgeoning dynasty.
Yeah.
We have to see them when they're really challenged by an equal team because we want to see how they respond to that pressure. That is not this series, so I don't think we have that. And that's why I don't think we're going to fully appreciate Denver after this.
This is classic goalpost moving by somebody of the caliber of Andrew Perloff. First, it was Jokic 2 MVPs, but he hasn't won a title.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's going to win the title. It's not good enough because Miami is an 8 seed, but in name only. Yes, Miami looks like they're running out of gas. But what have we said this whole time? But they're so dangerous and they're so mentally tough, and they've got guys who can hit from anywhere. This is classic goalpost moving on Denver. This is BS. It doesn't. I don't care. They had to beat 2 play-in teams and a Suns team that basically was introducing themselves to each other before Game 1. They beat Minnesota. They beat the Suns. They beat the Lakers. That's enough. Now they're going to beat the Miami Heat. They are true champions. I'm not asterisks. I'm not caveating. They deserve everything they're getting.
Okay. Well, you say that, by the way, that they beat 2 play-in teams. You're not saying that hypothetically. Like, they really, just in case you don't know, they did beat 2 play-in teams.
Because I know that's exactly what you were going to say.
Okay.
So I'm disarming you with the information. I know that they beat 2 play-in teams.
So in your mind,
I guess, no. The play-in teams would have been Minnesota and Miami was a play-in team.
Oh, right. Okay. So that's a good point.
I forgot about
the
that
Lakers,
finals opponent.
So the Lakers, I can't even remember now. The Lakers actually did make the playoffs without the play-in. No, they were playing too.
No, they were playing too.
So 3 play-in teams.
3 play-in teams. Well,
so you have to admit, and Miami, you're right. They do not look like an 8 seed. They look like at best a 10 seed lately. Because an 8 seed would have Max. When Max Strus is 0 for 10, they're a 10 seed, Maggie. They're not even a good 8 seed. This is ridiculous. And you tell me that you say that now, but you know in 3 years when we look back on this, that you're going to say, well, that was just Miami. That was not Denver's finest moment.
No,
because
I'm not going to say that.
Yes, you will. Because next year when the West reloads and these potential super teams sign more guys, then we'll really know who Denver is. We don't know now.
No, I am not going to say that because it'd be talking out of both sides of my mouth, which is you can't say that Jimmy Butler has this extra gear, all-time great playoff player, Eric Spoelstra going to the Hall of Fame as a coach. You can't do that. And I know there are like undrafted guys and D2 guys or whatever on the Heat, but they're all playing in the NBA, and that didn't matter in the Eastern Conference playoffs. So I can't say Jimmy Buckets, Himmy Buckets, all-time guy, Spo, all-time combination with this coach and player, and then turn around and say, but it doesn't mean anything that Denver beat them, because that's just not true.
But you look at the Heat. Do you not see a much, much smaller team and a much less talented team than Denver? I mean, you can't ignore the size. I see basically Aaron Gordon dunking on Gabe Vincent's head and say, wait, what is going on here?
Okay, so here's the question, though. Who else in the East would have given Denver a better run? Like your 76ers?
No.
I don't think so. Boston, with all their problems? No way. Giannis, probably Giannis, 100% healthy Giannis with everyone healthy around him is probably the answer. But I can't fault Denver. Why? Because they won convincingly? Like, that also is goalpost moving.
Well, forget the East. The East is it's ridiculously overrated. Nobody's coming out of the East. But the West will regroup next year, and that's when we'll see. If Denver can get out of next year's Western Conference playoffs, that will be a bigger accomplishment.
Okay, I don't remember anybody when it was the Kobe Shaq Lakers talking about, well, it was just the 76ers with Allen Iverson and everyone else, and it was just the Nets.
Yes, they did.
I think they looked at it and said Kobe and Shaq dominance was the headline coming out, not weak opponent test theory on Kobe and Shaq's legacy.
I think when you look back on that, nobody respected those Nets or that Sixers team.
No, but it was chalked up to Kobe and Shaq being amazing. It was like nobody could have beat them, as opposed to, well, they really didn't get a great opponent.
Yeah, I don't think that's really true. And also, I think this could be a little controversial. I don't think the Kobe Pau Gasol titles were great. Sometimes the NBA just has dips because of injuries and the way teams are organized. And
they beat the Celtics with Ray Allen and KG.
That's it. I don't know. I just think
Philly bias.
I think that the Shaq Kobe team would have destroyed the Kobe Pau Gasol team.
Well, the 98 Bulls would have destroyed the 93 Bulls, but like, what does it matter?
What?
The 98 Bulls were the best team in the dynasty, right?
No.
96, 97, 98 was better than 92, 93, 94. Or 91, 92, 93.
No.
Oh, I think most people believe that. Really? You're talking about degrees of how good they are is what I'm saying. I think that's a disingenuous argument.
Wait. You say that, I know we got to break in a second, but you say that like it's a fact that people consider the second half of Jordan better than the first, but Jordan was younger, more athletic in the first.
But he was just as good and dominant in the second three.
I think, here's the thing, the first three were unbeatable because he had Michael Jordan, though.
Well, so were the second three.
I understand.
Wait a minute.
I've never heard this you say it as if it's a proven fact. It's really interesting. I never even heard this debate. This is a great question.
I always thought that was kind of settled.
Really? I'm not totally disagreeing because I'd never even tried to wrap my head.
Who's the third Hall of Famer on the first three-peat? You had the third Hall of Famer with Dennis Rodman.
Right? Yeah,
but Rodman is in the Hall of Fame, whereas Horace Grant is not.
Right, but I don't know. Wait, can we just get a quick around the room? Does everybody know as a fact that the second part was better than the first part?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I always thought so too.
Yeah, Kukoc, Rodman.
I'm behind on this one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kukoc is probably in the Hall of Fame too. Contributions to the game.
Possibly. I don't think that he is, but that second Bulls team was just better. I mean, listen, I like Steve Kerr and John Paxson and B.J. Cartwright.
Kerr will be Hall of Famer.
B.J. Armstrong and Cartwright. Those guys are fine, sure, but Horace Grant made one All-Star team, and it was with the Orlando Magic. So it's not like that team had like that third option, really.
Huh.
Brian Eat Carson's Weed is in the chat. Cool. Maggie is definitely right about the Bulls. I don't even think that's not even my take. I kind of believe we all agreed that the second three-peat was a more talented team than the first. You're telling me the Kobe and Shaq Lakers would have beat the Kobe and Pau Gasol Lakers, and I'm saying, what does it matter,
Yeah, but I mean, to me, my take is, Jordan was the heart and soul of both those teams, where Kobe and Pau is a lot different than Kobe and Shaq. Don't you agree with me on that one? The Kobe and Shaq team would have probably beaten that second team?
Yeah, but where this all came about is because I think it's moving the goalposts on how definitive a title is if you're going to base it on the opponent. Because when it was Kobe and Shaq and they were beating the 76ers and the Nets, people were just saying, wow, look how dominant the Lakers are. They weren't saying, wow, well, they didn't really beat anybody. It was like they'd beat anybody. And, I think the Nuggets will beat anybody. It's just going to be by how much. And they're going to beat the Miami Heat 4-1 tonight in Game 5. And I think that's just a sign of their dominance, not a sign of the Miami Heat as a bad opponent.
Well, okay, fair. But we're definitely going to look back and say they beat a very, very flawed Miami Heat. And people are going to bring up the seeds they beat, Maggie. That's going to happen.
And we're going to know because we were there that even though it had an 8 by their name, that Miami is not your average 8 seed. Because they were just in the finals in 2020.
But, the Lakers would have killed this Miami team. And the Suns probably would have killed this Miami team if they were healthy enough.
I don't know about the Suns. 855-212 for CBS.
Sorry, tall like the Nuggets. There's some massive mismatch problems. Okay, sorry.
855-212-4227. Yes.
Just out of curiosity, had they beaten the 2 seed in the Grizzlies or the 3 seed in the Kings versus the 7 seed Lakers or the 6 seed Warriors, I feel like beating the Lakers actually, even though they were a 7 seed, actually advances their claim. Beating the 6 seeded Warriors advances their claim versus the Grizzlies or the Kings, even though they had better records and had better seeds. So I feel like the seeds kind of throws it off a little bit.
I mean, I think you're right. Beating LeBron is always going to be impressive. Beating LeBron and Anthony Davis is probably, on paper though, the Kings are a better team. This year they were a better team, but it's more impressive.
But a healthy Lakers, because they were never really healthy this year, a healthy Lakers, most of us would agree, would be a better win over than the Kings or even the Grizzlies maybe.
I think so. I mean, Grizzlies were a flawed team.